You know what leaves most men completely puzzled? It's when a woman who once laughed at every joke, responded eagerly, and seemed emotionally invested suddenly becomes cold, distant, and detached. One day, she's warm, curious, and affectionate. The next, she's indifferent, like you've become invisible. That sudden emotional switch is enough to make even the most confident man start questioning everything. What changed? Did I do something wrong? Why is she acting like this? And more importantly, what should I do now? Today, we're going to break down exactly that. When a woman distances herself from you and ignores you, here's what to do, and more importantly, what not to do. This topic always stirs debate because everyone seems to have an opinion. Some insist you should chase her harder, prove your worth, and win her back. Others say cut her off completely and walk away without looking back. But the truth isn't in either extreme. It lies somewhere in between, in understanding human psychology and mastering emotional balance. This isn't about manipulation or ego. It's about staying centered when emotions are high. Because when feelings take over, logic fades, and that's when most men make their biggest mistakes. We'll explore what her silence really means, why she may be pulling back, and how to carry yourself when it happens. This isn't just about getting her attention again. It's about reclaiming your emotional control, confidence, and masculine energy. How you respond in these moments determines how she sees you long term. You can either chase and lose respect, or stay composed and make her reconsider everything. So, stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand not only why women pull away, but how to respond in a way that builds power, not desperation. This is where emotion meets awareness. And every man watching this needs to hear it. It always starts quietly. Her texts come slower. The warmth in her tone begins to cool. She's suddenly busy, tired, or just not in the mood. At first, you tell yourself it's nothing. Maybe she's stressed or distracted. But deep down, something feels off. And that's when your mind starts spinning. You replay old messages, dissect her words, and wonder what you did wrong. You start chasing answers that aren't there. That's the emotional storm that hits when a woman begins to withdraw. But here's the truth: women don't distance themselves for no reason. There's always something beneath the surface. Sometimes it's emotional disconnection. Sometimes it's loss of attraction. Sometimes it's simply her way of testing your stability, consciously or not. And here's where most men fail: they react too soon. They start flooding her with messages, calling repeatedly, or sending long emotional texts trying to fix things. They offer apologies that weren't asked for, or grand gestures hoping to reignite interest. But every desperate move only pushes her further away. Because at that point, she's not seeing your love, she's seeing your loss of control. She senses that her withdrawal now dictates your emotions. And that imbalance kills attraction faster than anything. What she's really showing you is a mirror reflecting how dependent you've become on her validation. It's a hard truth to face, but a necessary one. When she pulls back, it's your test, not hers. Can you remain grounded when the emotional current shifts? Can you stay calm when your ego wants to panic? That's what reveals your strength. Because in that silence, she's observing. She's watching whether you collapse without her attention or stay composed and focused on your path. This is the time to turn inward, not to fix her distance, but to understand its lesson. Ask yourself, have I been too available? Too predictable? Too emotionally invested too fast? Sometimes her withdrawal isn't rejection, it's a reset, a way to rebalance the dynamic. The worst thing you can do is chase. The best thing you can do is breathe, stay calm, and maintain your ground. That doesn't mean ignoring her or pretending you don't care. It means responding from a place of quiet strength, the kind that makes her question if she really wants to lose you. Because when you remain still and self contained, something fascinating happens. Her curiosity returns. Silence can speak volumes, especially from a woman who once couldn't stop talking to you. It feels personal, like rejection, confusion, and betrayal rolled into one. You find yourself replaying every conversation, wondering when her energy changed. But often, her silence isn't punishment. It's communication, just in a language most men never learn to understand. A woman's silence can mean she's observing you. She's testing your emotional depth, watching how you respond when you're not in control. Because women can sense when a man's confidence is dependent on their approval. And when she senses instability, she retreats, not always to hurt you, but to see if your energy can stand without hers. Her silence is a form of reflection, a pause to evaluate how safe and secure you are within yourself. If your reaction is panic, she knows you were never grounded to begin with. If your reaction is patience, she feels your strength. That's why silence is never the enemy. It's information. It reveals whether your attraction was built on connection or control. So, when she distances herself, don't chase. Don't demand clarity. Don't try to force conversation. Just remain calm. Stay focused on your purpose, your discipline, your self respect. Because nothing reignites attraction like emotional stability. And when she realizes you didn't crumble without her presence, that's when curiosity turns into respect, and respect turns back into attraction. Remember, a woman's distance doesn't define your worth, it reveals your foundation. Use it to grow, to reflect, and to rebuild your center. Because true power in relationships doesn't come from control, it comes from composure. And when you master that, no silence can shake you again. She's seeing whether you'll stay grounded or fall apart. This isn't manipulation, it's instinct. At a deep psychological level, she's evaluating whether the man she's drawn to can remain calm when emotions get unpredictable. Sometimes her silence means she feels unseen or emotionally disconnected. Maybe she's been giving, communicating, showing affection, but you didn't fully notice. When that continues for too long, she doesn't always complain. She withdraws. It's her way of saying, I need you to see me without me having to ask. But she's not looking for a man who panics. She's looking for a man who pays attention. Other times, her silence has nothing to do with you at all. She might be overwhelmed, stressed, or confused about her own emotions. Not every quiet moment means she's losing interest. Sometimes she's simply protecting her heart, giving herself space to understand what she truly feels. That's why your interpretation of her silence matters so much. If you assume she's rejecting you, you'll react from insecurity. If you respond with patience and confidence, you create space for her to miss your presence instead of resenting your pressure. The biggest mistake men make is assuming silence must be fixed immediately, that if she's quiet, something must be wrong that you have to repair. But women aren't puzzles to be solved. They're people to be understood. Her quietness isn't an invitation to panic, it's a test of your calm. Can you stay centered when her energy shifts? Can you resist the urge to demand answers and instead hold the kind of emotional space that makes her feel safe to open up again? Her silence is not emptiness, it's information. It tells you what she feels, what she's observing, and where her emotional state currently sits without a single word. And when you begin to understand that silence isn't the end, but the beginning of clarity, something shifts inside you. You stop reacting and start responding. The men who master this difference don't lose women, they gain respect. Because sometimes the strongest response is silence. When a woman starts to pull away, everything inside you screams to do something. To text her, to call her, to fix whatever went wrong. That's the primal part of your mind equating distance with danger, silence with loss. But here's where most men go wrong. Your first reaction in this moment sets the tone for everything that follows. If you react out of fear, you lose control. If you respond with composure, you shift the entire dynamic back in your favor. Let's look at the wrong ways first. The biggest mistake men make is chasing validation. They double text, call repeatedly, or send emotional essays trying to pull her back in. They believe persistence equals love, but what it really communicates is desperation. When you chase someone who's withdrawing, you confirm their decision to step back. You show that her distance controls your peace. And that's not strength, that's surrender. Another common error is playing emotional games, pretending not to care, posting online to make her jealous, or using attention from others to trigger her. It might seem clever, but she'll see right through it. And instead of sparking her interest, it only shows immaturity and insecurity. Then there's the silent treatment, in return, another trap. Matching her distance with coldness isn't power, it's pride disguised as strength. It builds tension, not attraction. So, what's the right approach? When she starts to pull away, your first move is to pause, not to react, not to chase, not to withdraw. Just pause. That stillness gives you clarity, because you can't solve anything when you're emotionally flooded. Step back, breathe, and observe. Ask yourself, what's really going on here? Has communication shifted? Or is she simply overwhelmed by something personal? The goal isn't to fix her behavior, it's to understand your role in the dynamic. Once you've regained your center, communicate once, calmly and directly. Something simple, confident, and honest. I've noticed you seem distant lately. If you need space, I respect that. I'll be here when you're ready to talk. That one message says everything. It's not needy. It's not emotional. It's grounded. And it separates you from almost every man she's known. Then follow through. Give her the space you offered. Don't check in repeatedly. Don't stalk her social media or look for signs. Your silence now becomes your message, your quiet strength doing the talking. Correcting your mistakes isn't about being passive. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. You don't react to distance with panic. You respond with patience. You don't demand attention. You command respect through composure. That's the difference between a boy who fears rejection and a man who accepts reality. When you master that, her silence no longer has power over you. And ironically, that's when she starts noticing you again. Because nothing unsettles someone more than realizing they can't shake your peace. There comes a point where you must stop chasing and start thinking. When a woman distances herself, your instincts will tell you to fight for her attention, to remind her of what you once had. But here's the truth most men only realize too late. The more you chase, the less attractive you become. The more you run after her, the faster she runs away. Because attraction doesn't grow from pursuit, it grows from presence. True strength doesn't beg for attention. It radiates stability. It doesn't say, please choose me. It says, I know my value, whether you see it or not. This is where you transform from emotionally reactive to mentally strong. When she pulls away, it's not the end of your story. It's a chance to rewrite your role in it. The woman may return, or she may not, but either way, you come out stronger, more self-aware, and emotionally grounded. Because the real win isn't getting her back. It's getting yourself back. And once you understand that, silence no longer feels like rejection. It feels like freedom. The reflective psyche, where understanding yourself is the beginning of mastering connection. It's the beginning of your awakening. This is the moment life tests your composure, your self-worth, and your discipline. You can either fall apart or rise above. Most men let emotions rule their logic. They try to fix something that isn't theirs to fix. But a man who is grounded, who understands his value, knows this: no one's withdrawal should dictate his peace. That calmness, that ability to remain still while everything around you shifts, that's true strength. That's what earns respect. You need to understand this. Attraction isn't sustained by words. It's sustained by energy. When you chase, You radiate neediness. When you stay composed, you project confidence. Women are drawn to the man who is secure in himself, not the one begging for attention. So instead of asking, "How do I make her talk to me again?" start asking, "Why do I feel the need to?" That shift in perspective changes everything. It moves you from emotional dependence to self awareness. This is where you take back control, not over her, but over yourself. Use her silence as fuel for growth. Invest in yourself. Hit the gym. Focus on your goals. Reconnect with your purpose. Build a life that makes her distance irrelevant. Here's the irony: when you stop chasing her and start investing in yourself, she notices. The same silence that once felt unbearable becomes a space where you rebuild your power. And when a woman sees that you remain unfazed by her withdrawal, still thriving, still focused, still at peace, she begins to question her decision. That's not manipulation. That's magnetism. Stop thinking of this as a loss. Think of it as redirection. You are never meant to beg for anyone's presence. You are meant to become so centered, so confident, that anyone who steps away either comes back stronger or stays gone. Either way, you win. This isn't about games. It's about reclaiming your emotional balance. A man who learns to stay calm in uncertainty becomes unstoppable, not just in love, but in life. Stop chasing what's running from you. Stand still, breathe, and let your peace do the talking. Real power isn't loud. It's silent, steady, undeniable. If there's one thing you must understand, it's that distance doesn't destroy attraction. Weakness does. When a woman pulls away, your goal isn't to chase her back into your life. It's to reclaim your presence in it. Here's the truth: when you operate from strength, not desperation, you don't lose people. You make them rethink how they treated you. This isn't about ego. It's about energy. It's about standing tall in the face of uncertainty, reminding both her and yourself who you are. Think about it. When was the last time you truly valued your own presence? Most men don't. They tie their self-worth to a woman's attention, forgetting how they feel about themselves. When that attention disappears, they crumble. But what if you flip the script? What if her distance didn't shrink you, but sharpened you? That's where power lives, in remaining unshaken. Reclaiming your presence means reminding yourself you are the prize. You are not begging for love. You are offering value. You bring consistency, energy, and purpose to the table. When she pulls away, you don't convince her to see it. You let your absence make her feel it. Silence can be your loudest message. When you stop reaching, chasing, or forcing, your stillness becomes magnetic. It says, "I know my worth and I won't negotiate it." That calm confidence makes her reconsider. She replays moments where she took your presence for granted. Persuasion isn't manipulation, it's influence. And nothing influences more than emotional control. When you reclaim your presence, you show something rare: a man who doesn't beg to be seen, but simply is. Grounded, intentional, hard to replace. That's when curiosity creeps in. She checks your profile, replays conversations, and quietly starts to miss what she thought she could live without. You haven't said a word, but your silence carries power. Practically, reclaiming your presence means focusing on elevation. Redirect your energy toward growth, purpose, and discipline, physical and mental. Every time you feel the urge to reach out, channel it into improving yourself. You stop waiting for attention and start commanding it effortlessly. The most persuasive man isn't the one who talks louder, it's the one who lives better. A man who thrives without validation becomes impossible to ignore. That's how you reclaim your presence, not by proving your worth to her, but by embodying it. Emotional control is the foundation of true masculinity. It's not about suppressing feelings, it's about mastering your response. When a woman distances herself, your instincts will push you to react. Your mind races. Your ego stings. Your heart feels threatened. But emotional control separates the man who loses himself from the man who grows from the moment. React without thinking, and you hand over your power. Stay calm, and you create space between reality and response. That space is where strength lives. Logic replaces panic. Clarity replaces confusion. Many men mistake control for detachment. It's not. Emotional control means caring without losing your center. Psychologically, people are drawn to those who are grounded. When a man remains composed under emotional pressure, he communicates stability, something women naturally respect and feel safe around. If her silence shakes you to your core, it reveals a lack of inner balance. If she pulls away and you remain composed, she sees emotional maturity. And that is magnetic. That's what sets you apart from the men who panic, plead, or play games. To develop emotional control, start with self awareness. Recognize your triggers. Notice what arises within you when you feel ignored or rejected. Instead of reacting automatically, observe. The next time she doesn't reply, resist the urge to double text. Pause. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? That simple reflection rewires your response over time. It builds a habit of discipline, one that radiates through your words, actions, and presence. Emotional control also means not taking everything personally. Her distance might have nothing to do with you. Maybe she's navigating her own emotional confusion, stress, or uncertainty. When you make everything about your ego, you lose perspective. But when you detach from the need to control her reaction, you become free. And that freedom changes how she sees you. You go from reactive to reliable, from unsettled to steady, from dependent to self sufficient. Here's the lesson most men never learn: attraction may spark from chemistry, but respect is built on control. The man who masters his emotions commands attention effortlessly. His calmness becomes power. His silence becomes confidence. His restraint becomes influence. Emotional control isn't just a tool to win someone back. It's a skill that elevates every area of your life. The stronger you become internally, the less external chaos can affect you. That's how you evolve from a boy reacting to rejection into a man defining his own peace. Here's the part no one tells you. When a woman distances herself and you respond with strength instead of desperation, you immediately shift the dynamic. Suddenly, the energy changes. She expected you to chase, to panic, to beg for attention. But you didn't. You stayed calm. You focused on yourself. You moved with quiet confidence. And that's when she notices. Curiosity creeps in. Confusion follows. Attraction begins to rebuild itself quietly, subtly, powerfully. Nothing unsettles a woman more than realizing she cannot shake your peace. You break the pattern she's used to. She's accustomed to men fighting for her attention, sending messages like, "Why are you ignoring me?" or "Did I do something wrong?" But you didn't play that script. You stayed composed. And now she starts to wonder. She replays your last conversation. She thinks about your silence. She questions whether she misjudged your value. That's when you flip the switch, not through manipulation, but through emotional discipline. Your stillness becomes power. Your absence becomes presence. When you maintain composure and redirect your focus toward your purpose, you naturally become more attractive, not only to her, but to everyone around you. Your energy shifts. You are more grounded, more magnetic. Your words carry weight because they come from a man who thrives without needing constant validation. Her silence, once a source of anxiety, now works in your favor. While she wonders, you grow. And here's the moment that truly makes her rethink everything, when you no longer need her to feel complete. She realizes what she walked away from wasn't just a man, but peace, stability, and strength. She remembers how you made her feel safe, how you didn't raise your voice, how you didn't crumble under pressure. She sees you thriving, genuinely thriving, and that's what draws her attention again. Not because you chased her, but because you became the man who commands respect naturally, making her rethink everything isn't a game. It's rewriting the story she had about you. She expected collapse. Instead, she witnessed growth. She expected desperation. Instead, she saw calm confidence. Every silent day you spend building yourself is a reminder to her that she underestimated you. And the truth is, people value most what they fear losing. When she sees that you don't need her validation, she starts craving your attention, and that's when you regain control of the narrative. Let her sit in the silence she created while you build in the space she left. The greatest revenge isn't proving her wrong. It's becoming so complete that she cannot forget you. That's the kind of power that doesn't fade. That's the kind of man you are meant to be. When a woman distances herself and ignores you, it's not your signal to chase. It's your chance to rise. Every moment of silence is a test of your strength, composure, and self worth. You can react with fear or respond with confidence. Men who understand this never lose. They evolve. Because true power isn't forcing attention, it's commanding respect through calmness and growth. So when she pulls away, don't panic. Breathe. Refocus. Rebuild. Let your peace speak louder than your words. Become the man she and everyone else cannot ignore. And before you go, remember, what you've just experienced is only a glimpse. If you are serious about mastering the dating game, building unshakable confidence, and understanding the true psychology behind attraction, take the next step. Visit the Reflective Psyche's recommended resources, unlock the full teachings, and begin your transformation. Because the work that elevates your life and relationships, begins when you commit fully to becoming unshakable from the inside out.